Today's the day. We're finishing our trick or treat page, so stick around. Hello colorists, welcome to PencilStash, a weekly show all about coloring. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to get all the new content, and be sure to hit the like button if you're enjoying my videos. Today we're finishing our trick or treat page from the coloring book Romantic Country's Second Tale by Erie. If you missed parts 1 and part 2, you might want to check those out first, and I'll be certain to leave those links in the description below. And just a reminder that keeping these pages separated into a few videos really allowed me to keep as much as possible in real time for you guys. Nothing is sped up in this video. So let's get right back into it. In this video, we are going to be covering all the little details left over on our page, as well as the trick-or-treaters themselves. So we'll start with some very delicate colors added to our stained glass window on the door. I'm using very light pressure here so that it still looks like that yellow light is coming through the glass. And I forgot to do the rest of the door frame and the bricks around our door when I did the last ones in our part 2 of our video. So we'll do those now, and we're going to go through a very similar color palette and process as the bricks that surround the door from our last video. So we'll start by adding some browns to our door frame. We're going to be adding a bunch of colors in random places on our bricks, just like before, and then bringing it all together in the end. We'll also add some metallic gold to our doorknob, our hinges, and our lantern. This gold will work right alongside our autumnal color palette too. Now we'll pull out our black to add some weathering to our metallic finish. The inside of our window will be jasmine, which matches the light pouring out of the window in our door. So some good continuity there, creates a great glow. All right, let's do some work on the ground using a bunch of greens and a bunch of browns. So starting with artichoke, I'll add in the areas I want to remain light, including the spots that I think would get some of that light cast from the door window. Using espresso, we'll do the opposite now and putting the areas that we think would be in shadow. I'll also use the lines the artist has given us and line all of those with espresso. Then our blender will bring them all together. On our corn stalks, I'll use marine green to create some vertical lines along the husks, kind of imitating that great texture that corn husks have. Then I'll color the corn husk itself in sap green light, using very light pressure here just so we don't blend out those great darker vertical lines. Then I'll color the corn itself with two different yellows just to give it some variation of color. Moving on to the three bats up here in the corner. We're going to color these guys, keeping in mind that we have the light from the lantern hitting their left side. Actually, it's their right side, but left side of the page. You know what I mean. So I'll keep that side light, and the right side will be a little bit darker. I like the idea of adding some red to our page to really punch up the variety while still staying within our palette. So let's add some red to the wagon over here in the corner. Now we'll dirty it up with espresso. And don't forget to add in your shadows. With the light casting onto our trick-or-treaters from the window and the door, it would create a shadow directly behind them, so don't forget to add that in. Oh, and I forgot to mention, stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll be announcing the final winner number 3 for our Halloween or autumn-inspired coloring page from our PencilStash Adult Coloring Facebook group. We'll add some gray to our goose ghost, it's a tongue twister, just to darken it up a bit. And if you remember from the first video, part 1, you'll recall I had some color bleed over from the adjacent page, which you can still see a little bit on the sheet from our ghost here. And I kind of thought that this page was kind of a lost cause. And so I'm just really glad that I was able to cover it up in a bunch of different spots. But being that I'm not going to be coloring this ghost very dark, I'm not sure that we'll be able to cover this color up. But you know what? It's totally fine. No big deal. I'm just glad that we were able to salvage this page at all. Now onto the very subjects of our page, our trick-or-treaters. First, we'll do the one on the right. I'm going to call this little guy a boy, starting with an all-over layer of ginger root on his top hat. Then we'll go back in with brown to add that shadow in the back since our lighting source is coming from the front. Moving on to his tail and his mittens and his furry little boots. I'll put some Kelly green around the edges of his jacket, where that light source turns from yellow into green. And I'm coloring his jacket green to balance out the green that we have going on around the edges and in the rest of our page. The center of our page is very, very orange. So trying to bring the green in towards the center here a little bit will bring a lot of balance. Color the rest of his jacket in kelp green. And now, for some reason, my video didn't record it, but I'll be adding a layer of dark brown to the back of his jacket in much the same way that I did the top hat. So you'll see it in a second, but I just wanted to make mention of that in case you either noticed and didn't hear me say it, or you didn't notice and then all of a sudden it was brown. Blender to pull it all together. Ginger root around the edges of his pants where the light would hit. Then bronze to color the rest. Moving on to the kid on the left, we'll use red on her. And I'm using red for the same reason I used green on the boy, to bring balance to the page with a color that we've used in other places on the page, as repeating a color thoughtfully throughout a page is a great way to bring some cohesiveness. And whether you're aware of it or not, it's just sort of more visually pleasing when a page has a lot of balance in it. Now the hair. I'm adding a couple base layers of color. Then I'll go back in with espresso and make very tight, sort of upward strokes, simulating the layers and the texture of hair. We'll also add some texture onto the back of our boys' pants with some diagonal strokes. Using goldenrod on the cat, I'll use a crosshatch or kind of a checkerboard type pattern on him just to create some texture on what is a very small area. And then we'll finish by coloring in this flower pot with some beiges and some browns. I always leave the flower pots to the end for some reason. I don't know why, I just don't like doing them. But this will finish out our page. That is it. Our page is officially done. Overall, this took me probably about 6 hours to complete. It definitely felt like a really long time, but this one was a really fun one to do, especially given the season, and I'm very happy with the result. And here's the final winner that I've chosen from our PencilStash Facebook coloring group. It was colored by Lorraine Wilson from the book Autumn Magic by Molly Harrison. Lorraine used colored pencils and soft pastels. This is the second page from the same book to win a spot, so I may have to check this one out. I don't know if the moon was in the page originally or if Lorraine added it, but I just love it. I think it adds a lot of atmosphere to this killer page. Thank you so much for sharing this, Lorraine. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. It helps new folks find my channel. Also, if you want to subscribe, hit that circle in the center of your screen with my face on it. And if you want to watch more of my coloring tutorials, you can either follow that video link on your screen or visit my channel to pick one of your own. Well, that is it for me today. Thank you for watching today, guys, and I will see you next time.